Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Christian Music Bros podcast, or I can call it Christian Music Bro today because Braden still isn't feeling well. So, everyone say a quick prayer for Braden. I hope he feels better. Once again, I'm Brendan, and thank you for tuning in. Today, I'm with Nate Parrish. So, we're going to just let Nate introduce himself right away.
What is up? I am Nate Parrish. Good to be here. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Let's just dive in right away. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and everything?
So I'm a dad, husband. I got a toddler, and you might hear him running around in the background. Um, and then as far as what I do, music, art, all the uh, all the artsy stuff. And my day job, I work at a church. I serve as a creative director at our church. So I do worship or videos, graphics. I preach sometimes. So kind of do a lot of different stuff. But yeah, yeah.
So, this is a question we had. And I was going to get into this later, but it's already brought up. You said you do art. Do you make your own cover arts? And can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration of that? Because they're so unique versus some of these basic ones we see. They're just
Yeah,
all unique. Do you design your own covers?
I do. A big part of the when I started doing solo music, half the fun, honestly, is coming up with the artwork and like thinking through how I can, like I'll make the lyric videos or like all the different animations and stuff. I love doing that. When I was growing up, we had these things called CDs. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're
I
compact
call,
discs.
yeah, I have a big CD collection. I think
Yeah.
last time I had over 600 Christian CDs.
There you go. So a big part of the that experience of getting music was going through the album artwork. And like I really loved when Norma Jean would put out albums and their artwork was really unique. And it helps you kind of like visualize the music. It brings it to life a little bit. So I think it's very important. And I love doing all the artwork and stuff. And there's always I try to infuse a lot of imagery in it, a lot of Easter eggs. If you look through some of the artwork and some of the stuff I've done, they're like self-referential, so they reference other songs and other albums and stuff like that. So yeah.
That's really cool. 'Cause Brad and I were talking for a few minutes before, like I met with you today, and he was like, "Let's bring up the album artwork. It's just cool and unique, and it's just really cool to see like the graphics and everything." So,
Oh yeah.
so you are now doing so work. You were in a band called Cutlass for a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit how it was the transition from into a band to do your solo work? Like, what was the change for you? How was that for you?
So when I first got into music, I joined a band right off the bat, and I'd write songs even though I didn't know what the chords were called. I just like it goes like this. And then after a while, I started doing solo music. This is back in like the early 2000s, just because
Mhm.
there's something really scary slash awesome about just putting yourself out there with nothing out, no one else. There's no one else to fall back on. It's just you and your song. And I think that's a great way to really develop yourself and help you get over, the fears of sharing your art. But when I joined Cutlass, it was about 2015. We had met. We were on a tour. I was in a band called Worth Dying For. It was like a rock worship band,
Hmm.
and I was like the guitar player screamer in that band. And we did a tour with Cutlass, and me and James became friends. And then, yeah, a few years later, he hit me up to join Cutlass. So I had been doing that since 2015. I'm still play with Cutlass whenever we play. But I realized back in 2019, I was like, I haven't really done any music for myself in years. I've been in like bands,
Exactly.
and not writing, but not like, it wasn't my project. So I decided to just get a little bare bones home studio and just start recording. Asked a few friends like for tips, like how do I do this? How do I do that? And um, whatever came out, that was going to be what it was. I didn't have to run it by anyone. I didn't have to think about if my audience was going to receive it well or not. None of that mattered. It's just purely this is what I want to write about, and it's been awesome. I love it. You know.
And since then, you have released two albums, I'm a Wreck and Soul Surgery, and You're currently working on a third album, it looks like. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the first two albums were the process would I would be in this room right here. This is the vocal booth. So I'd write everything, record it, and then I would send it off to get mixed and mastered. Well, eventually, um, I felt like I could kind of hit the wall, what I could accomplish on
Mhm.
my own as far as like sonically, like the sound. I couldn't really get to that next tier of like better sound quality or things like that. So I was actually talking to James. He's like, "Why don't you have Josiah produce your next album?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess I could. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Josiah knows what he's doing. Obviously, we have similar music tastes." Um, and I was just kind of like, I don't know, is he going to be able to do it? Because he's producing a ton of
Mhm.
music. So we talked about it. We worked out a deal where I would still track and do the stuff here, and then he would produce from his studio. So it's kind of like a back and forth thing. And so we've been doing that for a little over a year now, and we're starting to get into the final um, kind of the final stretch of the album.
Mhm.
But you always have your plan. Like we write out our plan. Like here's what we're gonna do, and it's just like
Exactly.
because I think at that time I had written already like 12 or 15 songs. Like these are good songs. And then as we're working through it, you start to develop like a theme and you're like, oh, this song actually doesn't fit anymore and whatever. And then I just kept writing songs. So I ended up writing about 35 songs in total, but we had set a hard like 10 song limit for the album. So it's that process of like cutting, cutting, cutting. So now we're finally down to the final track listing and we're working through finishing those songs.
And I'm excited to hear it. I've like Soul Surgery. I didn't listen to your debut album yet. It's on my list, but
Okay.
I'm the person that listens to albums from start to finish. So I have like a whole list of albums that I do it. I'm that
Yeah,
person.
I like that.
So like it's just really so if anyone that hasn't listened to Nate's music, you can check it on. He has a debut album and a sophomore album. You can hear those on Spotify, Apple. So we can pretty much hear them everywhere. Even if, like I say, I make the joke that you can listen to it on 8 track maybe if you find it long lost somewhere. But but it's really cool. Radin had a question for you. I'm just gonna read his question for you because, like I said, he's not here today. He said, "What would he say on the future of punk rock in the small but amazing Christian punk rock scene? Like it looks like it's slowly growing in the past few years."
Yeah. So I'm friends with a label called Small Step Records, and they're a great bunch of bands and dudes, and so they're really helping kind of carry the torch with that. I would say, the punk thing never dies; it just hibernates. Just like all music, it comes in
Mhm.
waves. Usually, punk rock is a response to it comes about as a response to like what's going on in society. So, you know, um, all these different waves of punk rock, just like grunge, grunge came
Mhm.
off of, we got sick of glam rock and guys, wearing tights on stage and stuff like that. And then so like getting back to like the basics of guitar and drums and so punk is a response as well. So you're seeing more of it pop up now, I think, because societally, things are just going nuts. And so someone needs to say something about it. But I think it's always been there. It's just kind of like comes in and out of popularity.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
we're kind of seeing a rise right now. I see a more of kind of like pop punk, that kind of thing. There's still like, there's all these like subgenres, and
Yeah,
um,
ska punk.
yeah, just there's so many.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call
Mhm.
myself, honestly. I just say punk because I know that's what I like to listen to. But um, there's bands like Dispraised and some other bands that are like kind of like that old school, like really in your face punk, and then there's some pop punk stuff. So I think the future is bright. It's definitely out there. You just got to go find it because even like from my own experience with Christian rock radio, I had a song called "God Knows" off the last album, and that just from word of mouth it got to like in the top 50 of like songs for the year. That's without major play from any of the major stations.
Mhm.
Uh, just I don't know what it is, but you don't see punk rock in any charts. Really, you don't.
You
You
don't
just
see
don't see
much
it.
rock in any
No,
charts.
You don't
basically,
see it.
like
Yeah.
mainstream wise.
So that's not crazy different historically. That's kind of how it's gone. But all that to say, if you're out there and you love that, you love Christian punk, you love punk in general, it's out there for sure. You just got to go find it. You won't find it in a lot of those kind of mainstream outlets,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
And that's one thing Brian and I we like a lot of the rock artists, so that's like one reason we're how do we say this? We're branded as Christian music bros, but our
Mhm.
favorite genre when we discuss with artists is like rock and all the subgenres and rock and everything. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah, appreciate
it's
that.
everything. I think everything blends in together some way. Like if you
Hmm.
look at example like Disciple, they formed Honor and Glory, and they're now doing like worship rock. So it's like they all blend
Yeah,
together now. All these
yeah,
genres.
yeah. I think I've always loved rock in general. I just tend to gravitate towards the punk rock ethos just because of the attitude and the and all that the angst of it. I love that. It fits my
Exactly.
personality. But yeah.
Um, so obviously you're making new music. Do you have any like events coming up that anyone can come and support you at? For anyone that's listening, that they can come support you.
Yeah, for sure. So getting out and playing as much as I can. Playing with Disciple this Friday, actually, in Bakersfield, and then I'm going to do an acoustic open for them Saturday, March 16th, in Vacaville, California.
Mhm.
So that'll be fun. I got a lot of local shows, pretty much all through June right now, booked up. You could see me in California, and then getting out of California and playing out a little bit this summer. So I'll have more details on that soon. But yeah,
And if you want to see what events he's coming up, you can follow him on Instagram. I think it's Nate Parrish Music. I don't think it's either the Nate Parrish Music or Nate Parrish Music. I think.
the Nate Parrish. It used to be Parrish Music. It's the Nate Parrish.
Yeah, I knew it was some combination of that.
Yeah,
And you can also go to his website. Can you say your website so people can listen?
yeah. NateParrish.com.
Awesome. And we just have a few extra minutes. I'm not going to take. We don't like taking everyone's day, a whole day, because
Sure, man.
we lose attention spans after like 20 minutes of people because people now in my generation have short attention spans.
You got it.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about or bring up or anything you want to say?
Um, Man, I just thankful. I've been doing music for a while now, and it's really cool to see that there's people out there like yourselves that are supporting specifically Christian rock artists. It's important, sometimes you wonder if you do your craft because you love it, but you wonder if anyone actually cares besides you.
Mhm.
And so it's always kind of nice to hear that someone else supports that and takes the time to help promote that because there's so much noise out there. It's tough to get anything to cut through. So just saying thanks to you and your audience for continuing to support artists. It's cool.
And everyone that's listening, make sure to support Nate as well. I've said his website, I said his Instagram, I said his music. So go support him too. Say you saw him on the podcast or something, then just follow his journey. You can
Yes.
find you can find him on YouTube. He's really active on social media too. He doesn't just post music; he posts these weird TikTok things, videos too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not like
Check it
weird in a
out.
good way. I'm just saying, like if you want just something different to watch.
Oh, it's weird for sure.
Exactly. Again, Nate, thank you for joining me. I appreciate your time. So,
You got it.
and everyone watching, thank you for joining me today. And we'll see you next time on the Christian Music Bros podcast.